Hey, I've got Jenny Belanger. She is a website freelance designer out of the Boston area. Hi, Jenny.
Hey Bernadette, nice to be here.
Thanks for taking time to talk today. So, you're working primarily, almost exclusively with nonprofit organizations. Why do you choose that market?
I have such a passion for helping nonprofits. Before taking the leap to start a business of my own, I actually was a marketing director for a nonprofit in charge of it all. So I know what goes on behind the scenes. You are responsible for marketing the program, securing donations. There is never enough time to get it all done, let alone worry about your website. So that's where I come in. I want to take your online presence off your plate so you can focus on what you do best.
So, what is the number one thing that marketing directors or development directors ask you for when it comes to their website?
I would say the number one thing they ask for over and over again is ease of use. A site that really showcases their impact and just something that demonstrates who they are, what they do, who they serve, and is easy to use for both their clients and donors. And it's really challenging because the average visitor is only on your website for less than 15 seconds. So if your site is hard to navigate and uninspiring, you won't be able to pique their interest and convert them into a donor or a client.
So, what is the main difference between designing a website for a nonprofit versus any other type of business?
I would say when I'm designing for a nonprofit, we are trying to achieve multiple goals. The most important is to share their impact with the world. But then with nonprofits, I find there are two additional objectives to every single site. The first is to generate the support through the donations and possibly recruiting volunteers. And then many times they are also servicing clients. So in your traditional business build, the goal is singular. It's just to showcase someone's services or their product. But for nonprofits, it's a little bit more complex. It's always to highlight their impact, and then you have to design for the two user experiences: the support, your donors, your volunteers, and then the clients, those who are seeking the services. And my specialty is blending the two so that the user experience is seamless by either segment.
So, I just want to repeat that. You're taking two different user experiences, one for donors and then another for somebody who's seeking services, and you're creating something that's seamless, so it's the same experience. It's a great experience no matter who you are. That's
Absolutely. The
that's
whole
awesome.
experience. Yep.
Okay. So now a nonprofit has a great site. How are they going to drive traffic to it?
Yeah, the marketing question. If you build it, will they come?
Yeah.
A website is like a living, breathing thing. It's like a plant, needs to be watered and fed. And once you have an online home, you really need to be able to share it with others. Now, the easiest thing you can do, make sure you have a link in your email signature. Just think about how many people you email in a day. That's a great, easy place to start. Then now you want to have your website work for you. So if you don't have a blog, I suggest it's something that you start thinking about. Start posting some updates, maybe some client showcase stories or updates from the organization. Keep it fresh, it's really important. And then you want to get in the conversation. Get on social media and share that link to your latest blog post. Just like every page on your website, there needs to be a call to action. So every social media post, the same thing goes there. And you want to link back to your website. Another tip, if you're using Instagram, make sure there's a link in your bio. Many organizations just like to use, their homepage link or a donate now button, the link. But you could perhaps create your own landing page that has a different number of calls to actions on there. Maybe you have your latest blog post, maybe you have your latest event, things like that. The point is, everything that you do on social media, you are driving people back to your website.
Right. Oh, over the last decade, I feel like nonprofit groups have really tried to increase their visibility and their following on social media, and small groups even try to use their social media pages as like a makeshift website. What do you say to people who can't afford to build or maintain their own standalone website?
It's hard. Social media plays a big role in everyone's lives, especially now. That's how we make our connections. It's important. But that said, your website is really your nonprofit headquarters, and social media should just be the tools that you use to market yourself. Your website, it builds credibility with your donors, your clients, and it allows people to find you online. And it also gives you control of the narrative. Social media, things can kind of spin out of control, and the website really gives you that power back to control what's being said about you. Okay. Another point, it lets Google know you exist. We all know when you learn about something, the first thing you do is go and Google it. So you need to make sure you have a website so that Google knows that you are there. And then social media is how you start the conversation, but everything that you do on social, you are driving people back to your website. That's why it exists, to have a place to send people to take action on what you're asking them to do. So if you have a small budget, a few things you can do to legitimize yourself a little bit more. Reserve your domain name. So say, for example, your organization was Shining Stars. You want to go to a registrar, maybe GoDaddy. I use ICDsoft, and just register that shiningstars.org. It shouldn't cost very much, maybe around $20. The next thing you can do, go sign up for Google G Suite. You can get an email address with your domain name. That will do a lot for you to build credibility with your audience. And if you aren't still ready for an investment for a full website, what you can do is consider building a landing page. So basically a one-page website. Usually a designer can do this in a shorter amount of time, and it's a less investment for you than a traditional build. It is something that I offer to my clients who aren't ready to take the full step to make a full online home for themselves.
So you have this on your website, you have this great free downloadable resource. It's a DIY audit of your website. And I went through it on my own website, and there's a lot in it. But what really stood out for me were a few things that I just want you to expand upon. So the first one was viewing your website through an incognito browser. Why is that important?
Yeah, it's important. You can just right click on Chrome, open up an incognito browser. You want to do this because your website remembers how you have looked at it before. It stores that information. So when you open up that incognito browser, you are viewing it like the first time, and you can have fresh eyes on how your website appears to all your new visitors. So that's important.
Next thing was have a call to action in the top right corner of your website. Why is this critical? And what's with the Z formation and the F formation?
Yeah, there are two patterns that people typically read a web page: the F pattern and the Z pattern. And the F pattern, you go across vertically up at the top from left to right and then down the left-hand side. For the Z, it's just a zigzag, upper left to upper right and then down to the left. Both of those views, the upper right-hand corner is where you want to put your call to action, the best real estate on your entire website. So make sure you put something important up on that right-hand corner.
And then testing out all of your sign-up forms, your calls to action, donation forms. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, just make sure you go through there. I do it on my own website. Just go through all the pages that you have messages and just enter in some information and maybe use your personal email address. Check and make sure it's all working, because it would be the worst if someone tried to contact you and then it actually didn't work.
Yeah.
And there's another tool you can use if you have broken links on your website and you use WordPress. You can download the free broken link checker and just activate it, and we'll tell you all the links on your website that don't actually work anymore. So that's a nice, easy fix as well.
And the last thing that I noticed is, why do we have to have HTTPS? And what can you do if your site isn't secure?
Yeah, that's important. I'm sure you've noticed, when you go to a web page, you see on the upper left-hand side, there's that little padlock. And if that's not displayed, it means the site isn't safe to browse. The main goal is to protect the information that is going from computer to computer, like payment information and personal details. But also to that, if you don't have that, your rankings in Google will fall. So that's an important thing to consider. And donors and clients, you want them to see you as a professional brand. And having that secure padlock will help you in that case. It's important.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you can just contact your hosting provider and you can get that installed for a nominal fee, and they can make sure that your site will appear secure.
Okay, well, this has been great information. Thank you again for joining me. Jenny has put together a special bonus for all of the viewers. And if you download her DIY website audit that you can do yourself, you're also going to get from her a personalized video that gives you more updates or suggestions of what you can do to update your website. You can get that by going to JennyB Designs /BFF, and you'll find it there. You can also find her on Instagram at the JennyB Designs. So Jenny Belanger, JennyB Designs, thank you so much again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah.